Hey WILDR folks, Alicia here. This week's video is about skiing steeps and actually enjoying it. Yeah! I've got 4 tips for you today. 3 of them are going to be on the slopes and 1 of them is going to be here in the gym because that's what we do. We help people train in the gym for adventures outside of it. So I'd love it if you subscribe to this channel and let's get into our tips for this week. Tip number 1 has to do with your technique when you're skiing. And the tip is simply to move forward. Now, as you're completing a regular ski turn, we typically want to start the turn in the front seat or pressing down through the tips of the skis. Then as the turn progresses, we move a little bit back before we move ourselves forward again to start the next turn. It is a fun rhythmic yo-yoing that keeps us more or less centered on our skis. Now, as terrain gets steeper and we get a little bit more nervous, we can have the tendency to stay in the back seat the entire time. You'll know you're doing this if you feel pressure between the back of your boot and your calf, or you feel pressure between your toes and the front of the boot for the entire turn. It is almost impossible to control the tips of your skis if you are in the back seat. So what you need to do is get a little brave, move forward, extend those hips, and start the turn in the front seat or forward. This might feel scary at first, but you're gonna have more control on steep slopes. You're gonna feel more stable because you're centered, and you're gonna be less likely to have sore quads at the end of the day skiing if you make this move on steep terrain. Tip number 2 is gonna happen in the off season, and that is building your strength, your stability, and your power in the gym. When you're on steeper terrain, the forces are higher. There's more gravity pulling on you, if you will. And so being strong and being able to counteract those forces through the turn is going to be a lot easier if you've got a reserve of strength, power, and stability. Now, we've got videos on how to build those 3 capacities in our video list, so go digging through there if you want to find more information about that. But remember to include full body movements. We spend the last 4 weeks of our 8-week dumbbell ski program working specifically on these characteristics because they translate so directly to having more fun on the hill. And if you're interested in that program, you can check it out below. You'll be working directly with me to get ready for the best ski season of your life. If you're going on your own, just remember to start simple and to only progress when you are confident and strong in your movements. Tip number 3 has to do with a buzzword I hear often at the ski hill: separation. Now, what separation means is when you're skiing, you should be able to do something different with your torso than what you're doing with your lower body. It just means being able to move different body parts different ways. Now, when you're skiing in really steep terrain, I'll often see beginner or intermediate skiers turn into one solid block. So when they're skiing, they're either pointed this way across the hill with their entire body, including their head, or they're pointed this way across the hill with their entire body, including their head. A more advanced skier is going to be able to keep their upper body pointed down the hill and keep their lower body pointed across the hill. Now, the reason this is important is because it makes it faster for you to react, turning from one way to another. If you've ever seen ski racers go down a course in a shorter turn, the separation is more apparent because the turns are faster. To begin with, all you have to remember is to keep your upper body pointed down the hill while you do your turns down your steep slope. And my final tip is to remember that outside ski is key. What do I mean by this? A lot of times on steep slopes, I'll see skiers kind of reaching for the snow, sort of leaning over towards the hill because the hill is safe and stable. But what actually happens when you do that is you're reducing the angle and the amount of pressure on your outside skis. So you're actually making it more likely that you slip. If, when you're skiing, you feel your feet coming really far apart, this tip might be really good for you. What you want to do is put the majority of your weight on the outside ski. So if I'm turning this way, this is my outside ski. We're talking 90% of your weight on this ski. A good way to know if you're actually doing it is to try and actively lift your inside ski off the snow. That's going to help you get that feeling of putting almost all your pressure on that outside ski. That's going to be helpful on steeps because we need more pressure to resist the force of gravity. So I hope one or many of these tips is helpful for you and you think of them the next time you're skiing steep terrain. After you're done your next day skiing, you should try one of our post-ski mobilities. They are linked to on this channel. And until then, I hope you have a wilder day.